Welcome back. We have here a Rambo knife. I don't know what they actually call them, but when the first Rambo came out, I think it was in the early 80s, like 82 or 3 or something like that. I think like maybe 82. So that's like 40 years ago. These things were all the rage. They were selling them everywhere. I have no idea where I got this from. I really don't remember. Um, but I've had it all these years. I think it might have even come with a sheath, uh, but that's long, long gone. Um, and it has no markings on it. Oh, there you go. It's got stainless steel Taiwan on it. And that's the only markings that's on it. And basically, it was like a survival knife. And it has this cap on the end. Let me tell you, this thing is pretty beefy. And this cap is made of brass. And I obviously use this to pound on something because there's a bunch of dings and dangs in there. And inside here, well, there's an O-ring to keep it waterproof. And there was a compass in there. And that's long gone. And probably over the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I was trying to find a cheap, I guess they call them button compasses that fit in there. And just about, I guess, 2 weeks ago or something, I was going through some stuff I had, and I had this little tin survival kit. It was about yo big. And in it came this little button compass. And lo and behold, it's actually the perfect size. I'm not going to jam it in there because I want to put some glue when I finally do it, but it's the perfect size to fit in there. So I got that component. And then inside here, you have these rings. I don't even know if I can, it's been so long. Let's see if I can get these off. There's another O-ring on there. I'm surprised these O-rings are still, this one's getting a little cracky. We'll have to replace that. So you have these two, basically they're key rings. And then in here, this is all original what came with it. Let me make sure nothing else is in there. A little grease on my hands. You got a couple needles. I've got a little rust on them. I'll have to clean them up. And then inside here, we got the saw. So this is a saw. Got some fish hooks in there. This is a saw that goes around these rings. We have, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little hooks with a little bit of fishing line. This is wire. And 3 strike anywhere matches. So that was considered the survival kit. So you could cut up a little bit of wood. You could start a fire, you could catch a couple fish, and you could do some mending. The funny thing is, there's no thread in there. I guess if you had to mend something, you can use the fishing wire, but maybe once we get this all put back together, we'll put a little bit of thread in there. And I might get some new needles because these have that rust on them. And then once you clean that up, unless I polish it, it'll get hung up when you go to sew something. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to refurbish this. I'm going to clean this up. And again, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to clean this handle up. I'm probably not even going to remove all the paint, although I might, because I can see a casting seam on here. This is probably just some kind of cast metal. repaint this black, and then I'll glue in this compass. I'll clean this up, remove all the dents and dings in it, and repaint that. And it doesn't have a good edge. Definitely not sharp. So we'll put some kind of edge on it too. And you know, just a little clean up, make it presentable, and then put it back together as a tribute to, I guess, what is it, the 40th year anniversary of the Rambo movie. So let me clean this up, and we'll get to the next part. All right, so I'm at my bench. I think I'm going to leave the paint on. It's been on there for 40 some odd years. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't look good, I could always take it off. So what I'm going to start with is just a little needle file. I'm going to try to get these little casting marks out. So there's one. So I'll do that all along both sides, and we'll see how it looks, and I'll bring you back. All right. So I filed that down, and I decided to take the paint off, and I'm going to use a wire wheel just to get all the paint off, and because I can see the casting is pretty rough. And then after I get the paint off, I'm just going to give this a good sanding. Try to get it as smooth as possible. Just like this. The paint actually comes off by sanding it too. I thought it would be a lot tougher, but it's not. So let me get at that. I actually may just sand it all off. It depends, but that's boring to watch. So I'll bring you back when I have this cleaned up. Alright, so I got it cleaned up. I got it sanded to 320. Now here's the thing with sanding in me. I have been known to sit down, put some tunes on, and sand literally for hours. I did not do that with this one. I just used some 320 aluminum oxide, and I cleaned it up. I'm not going to go crazy with this. I decided I'm going to make it a display piece. So I'll make like a part 2, and I'll make an antler display to put this on. I'm not going to make a sheath and stuff. But the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cap, I'm going to put it on. And I'm going to put it over here into my vise. I got a piece of leather here. That's a little crooked, but you get the idea. And then I'm just going to take my needle files, and I'm going to start to get all these little dings out of here. All right, so you get the idea. I'll bring you back when that's done. All right, so here's where we're at. Got this. Nice and cleaned up. All the little nicks and stuff are taken out. And did a little sanding on it. Again, not going crazy. I cleaned up one of these keyring saw holder thingies with a wire brush. So here's a before and here's an after. So I'll do this one the same. Then I want to see if I could, I don't want to paint this thread. So I want to see if possibly I could maybe use a cold blue and get that darkened. And then I'm debating whether I just want to paint it without putting any primer on it or put primer on it. But I think before I do that, I want to clean up the blade a little bit. It's a little dirty, and again, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm going to probably get like 1,000 wet and dry, clean up the blade a little bit, and then polish it back up and put a semi edge on it. Again, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not looking for this thing to shave with. It's basically just going to be a display. So let me think about what I'm going to do with the paint, and I'll bring you back when I decide that, and show you how I'll sand this blade and get another mirror polish on it. Alright, so I actually have a piece of 1200 wet and dry. And again, I'm not going to even use it wet because it's really not that bad. There isn't any big pits or anything. So I'm just going to give it a light sanding. Just to get some of them scuffs out. I don't know if you could see all those lines in there, but that's from when they originally made it. So now I have here my little homemade polishing wheel, and this I can reverse the directions. If I spin it this way and turn it on, that's the way it goes. And if I spin it this way, that's the way it goes. So I'm going to be using black compound. This is good for stainless steel and you know, regular steel. And I'm just going to polish up the blade, and we'll see how it looks. All right, so you get the idea. I'll finish that up and I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like. All right, so I have it polished up. There's a few little, here and there. It's not perfect, but it came out pretty nice. Got a nice shine on it. So the next thing, I put a little bit of an edge. Again, it's not razor sharp, and again, the premise behind that is, I'm going to make it a display piece, and people are going to pick it up, and I really don't want it to be like a razor blade, so they cut their hands. But it's got a nice little edge on it. I mean, it's not super sharp. I can scrape my fingernail with it, so it's not bad. I tested it out on some rope and stuff, and it cuts. Again, not looking to be taking this out with me, but it's going to be a display piece. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it. I'm going to tape it all off, and I'm just going to put a couple coats of black paint. I haven't decided yet what to do with this, if I'm going to try to blue it, or I have some touch-up blue marker paint, something I don't want to get the threads all messed up with. So I decided not to use primer. It didn't have primer to begin with, so I'm just going to clean it up and I'm going to paint it, which is kind of boring, just some spray paint. And I'll bring you back when this is painted and the end is painted, and we'll put it back together and see what it looks like. All right, so I got it all painted up. I did paint the threads, but what I did was I taped it off, and I only did, I put one coat on. I did not use primer on the handle. If you were going to take something like this out to the field, the best route would be to powder coat it, because I don't know how resilient this finish is going to be. But again, for a display piece, actually it's a little sharp. The display piece, it's fine. So I taped it off. I put a coat on, I let that dry. Again, light coats. I put another coat on, I let that dry. Then I took the tape off and I put a final coat on, so it's pretty thin over here. But it came out nice. And the brass cap, I had to put a primer on it because the paint did not stick. But that came out nice also. All right, so now the next step is I have to put the compass in, and a little breezy out here. I got hot melt glue. I'm just going to put a little dab in there. Drop that in. Man, hot melt glue gives you those stringy things. All right. I also cleaned up the needles, and I have a new piece of plastic bag. So I'm going to, you know what? I think I'm going to leave the original bag in there. I'll slip this in here. Try not to poke myself. Maybe too thick now. Let's see. I think that'll work out. And I have my little key rings polished. I have a new, trying not to cut myself, and get this on here. Man, there's just some things you do on camera that you look so spastic. Let's take that out. Let's do it like this. Let's get that on there. Try to even these up so it looks cool. And there you have it. I think it looks cool. Now again, I put a little bit of an edge on it. I did not go crazy. I'm not shaving anything with it. But just for example, here's just a little string. Nothing fancy dancy. But like I said, I'm going to make this a display piece. Got a little tape residue on there. But I love the way it came out. Most excellent display piece. And that was a really, really simple project. I mean, again, I did not go crazy on it. You know, just kind of brought it back, gave it a little bit more life. So I will make like a part 2, and I will make a display using antlers and some wood. And this bad boy will be going up on the shelf. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I hope you all are staying safe. I'm sending you much, much love to all of you, my brothers and sisters. Thanks again, and we'll see you on part 2.